he mentions this prophetic statement that the Buddha makes, where, let me find it. And what, bhikkhus, is the unconditioned? The destruction of lust, the destruction of hatred, the destruction of delusion. This is called the unconditioned. And what, bhikkhus, is the path leading to the unconditioned? The emptiness concentration, the signless concentration, the undirected concentration. And this is called the path leading to the unconditioned. Emptiness concentration is when we see and understand all things as being empty of self. Signless concentration, sometimes called vipassana samadhi, abandons the sign of permanence through the contemplation of change. And undirected concentration arises when we contemplate the unsatisfying nature of conditioned phenomenon, and so no longer lean toward that which is impermanent, unreliable, and selfless. As these insights are brought to maturity, at a certain point, the mind opens to the experience of nibbāna, the unconditioned, uprooting by stages all the defilements that keep us bound. The Buddha described this experience in different ways: the perfect wisdom, the highest happiness, unsurpassable freedom, a state of peace, the sublime, the auspicious, the wonderful, the marvelous, an island, a shelter, a refuge. At the same time, as a caution against reifying nibbāna in some way, he also describes it as unborn, unmade, unbecome, unconditioned. The realization of nibbāna is the great fruit of our practice, the accomplishment that has been voiced by so many awakened beings. Done is what had to be done, which was one of the phrases that it was reported that the Buddha said. The Buddha concludes the Satipattana Sutta, which is what we've been spending all this time looking at, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. He concludes the Satipattana Sutta with a prediction that has important implications for how we understand practice. Monks, if anyone should develop these 4 satipattanas in such a way for 7 years, let alone 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, 1 month, half a month. If anyone should develop these 4 satipattanas in such a way for 7 days, one of 2 fruits could be expected: either final knowledge here and now, or if there is a trace of clinging left, non-returning. If there is a trace of clinging left, non-returning. So it was with reference to this that it was said, monks, this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of dukkha and discontent, for acquiring the true method for the realization of nibbāna, namely the 4 satipattanas. One important implication of this very direct statement is that awakening is really possible. Mm-hmm. You know, it's something that all of us can achieve because it's the potential of the mind itself. And even the first few moments of genuine mindfulness are a turning point. Because we can realize maybe for the first time that the mind can be trained and it can be understood, it can be liberated, and we get a glimpse of something beyond our ordinary conventional reality, touching a space that transforms our vision of who we are and what the world is. And we can understand that there's a direct, clearly articulated path to this end. And these intimations give passionate meaning to questions of ultimate truth, because although we may not always be living in that space, we understand it to be a source of everything that we value. And he points out a second implication of the Buddha's statement that there's a variable time frame for awakening. So given the Buddha's understanding that the development of mind occurs over lifetimes, perhaps we are just at the beginning of the journey, or perhaps we're nearing the end.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. Each of us has different backgrounds and conditions, but as Bhikkhu Bodhi points out, who is still alive today, and you can attend some of his classes, he's in New York. Liberation is the inevitable fruit of the path and is bound to blossom forth when there is steady and persistent practice. The only requisites for reaching the final goal are two: to start and to continue.
That's right.
If these requirements are met, there is no doubt the goal will be attained. So that is the great gift of the Satipattana Sutta, of showing us the way of understanding of the four foundations of mindfulness. And, you know, hey, if Mike only has 2 weeks, there's still hope.
I'm telling you. Well,
I'm not worried about it.
No, it's not about worrying. It's about continuing.
I'll continue.
Yeah.
Try harder, Mike.
Thanks for the kick in the pants, Doug.
Drink less water.
That's my goal.
Well, on
I
that,
see it as, catching a carousel. It goes around and it goes around, and you keep on trying, and you finally catch the horse. Every once, and that's what I meant by it sustains itself.
Yeah.
And so, it's a very, very, very beautiful experience, and it's worth it. But, most of us focus upon that period of effort. And
which is tricky because it takes a certain amount of energy, as we know, right effort to attend to what we what is our goal, really. Well, that being said, maybe we should meditate.